ankles or strained wrists or whatever it is that they've had, or lower back pain. Once they tell me about that, then I can go in to start asking questions about that. So if they tell me that they've had some lower back pain, I can then ask the question, okay, is that something that you've currently still got? And it gives them an opportunity to tell me a bit about that. I can then ask them, have you had that treated by a professional? And more often than not, people will then proceed to say, yeah, I've had this, or I've seen this physio, I've been to this osteopath. What then that enables me to do is to go take it one step further and say, okay, could you tell me how long you were treated with this person for? Can you tell me a little bit about the pain and discomfort that you have now? Could you put me in contact with this person or provide their contact details? Because what I'd like to do is to touch base with that practitioner, and what we can do is we can make sure that we're on the same sheet of music for your training program. So already what we're doing is we're instilling a whole bunch of great confidence into them, because we're saying, look, we go one step further. Not only do we get you in the gym and train you, but we're certainly there, and we certainly care about everything that goes on with your body, right down to the nutrition side of things, right down to other forms of activity that you do outside of your sessions with us, right down to any other injuries or things that might hold you back from your training. Really what we want to do is we want to know about everything about that person that we can, so we can really help them and enable them to get the results that they're after. Because what will happen is they will continue to stay, pay, and refer. In that section too, I'll often ask people about our assessment process. So I'll explain to them part of what we do at Peak Physique, and a big thing that we promote is that we like to set goals and get you there as quickly as possible. So I'll ask them, are they interested in the whole assessment process, which could involve measurements and skin folds and things like that, and get an idea if that's something that really interests them. Then down the bottom it says best time to exercise, and that's a spot then for me to start talking about how the program's actually going to look. So on the first one on the left hand side it says days, so I'll be saying to them, okay, can you give me an idea on what you think the most perfect days for you to exercise are? Somebody might say to me something like a Tuesday and a Thursday would be the best days, and I can then entertain and explore. And already what what that enables me to do, especially having a large team of trainers, it enables me to then get a picture on who they're going to be best suited with in terms of a personal trainer. In addition to that, I'll say, if you could wave the magic wand, what would be the most perfect starting time for your training? And they'll say to me, okay, well, Tuesdays and Thursdays, possibly 6 a.m. And typically from that question, then I'll just ask them, and just so that I've got a little bit to go on and work with, what's the earliest start time that you could do? So if 6 a.m. was the perfect time, could you say, for example, start at 5:30? And I can get some feedback from them on that. So they might say to me, well, 5:30 is a little bit early, but I could probably make it happen. So I'll say, okay, and then on the flip side of that, what's the latest time that you could start, which could then get you to work or whatever? And they might say, well, I can probably start as late as 6:30. So what that then gives me is a scope then to know that I can try and allocate them a trainer either at the hours of 5:30, at 6 a.m. or at 6:30 as a start time, and I've got a couple of days to work with. Next you'll see location. Our business is based at Healthworks at Tenerife, and that's where we do the majority of our clients. I'd probably say 80% of our clients there. However, we do see some of our clients outdoors, at homes, in the parks, or for different corporations. So what we'll be doing then is getting an idea on where they're going to be best suited, and I'll be getting some feedback from them on that. Given the fact that our personal training fees are separate to the gym membership at Healthworks, I'll make them aware of that at that stage. So I'll be saying to them, once we've identified that, and if we've identified that the gym seems the most appropriate place for them, then what I'll be saying to them is that the Healthworks fees are separate to our personal training fees, and just letting them know so that when we do our whole sales pitch, it's not so much of a shock to them once we get to that point. Over to the right hand side of that, in the middle of that little section, says the word package. And that one, and the classic way that I frame this question, one of the most important ones, I believe, just goes like this. I'll say, do you have a budget with what you'd like to spend on training? Now the response that I get from that question is mixed and varied. Some people will respond via I've got no idea. Other people will respond with an amount, but what it certainly does, it allows me to get an idea on where that person's at, especially as our team's grown and we do have a big variation in terms of programs and packages and rates and things like that. So that one is certainly one that I think is important. The things that you really want to hear are people saying things like, well, cost is not the issue, it's more about getting my results, because then what that means for us is it doesn't really provide us with any limitations in terms of getting them the best possible service for the goals that they're after. And part of my job and part of my role is matching people up and finding people that suit and that work, I believe, will work well together on a personality level, but also in terms of skills and techniques that the trainer would have to get that person what they're after. Down the bottom left hand side, we've got sessions per week, and what that refers to is just simply how many training sessions that person will be looking at doing per week. So it might be 2 sessions per week in the instance. And then finally, on the right hand side, it's trainer. So I'll then start to get an idea of who the trainer that might be suitable for that person. Now, as discussed, I've just been speaking for around about 16 minutes on this, and I mentioned to you that this process can take anywhere from about 15 minutes up to about 25 minutes, given the fact that I've done this for a long time. If you're new to this process, you might even find that it takes you a little bit longer. But the thing that I want to point out is a couple of things. If you come through and you peruse our offices here at Peak Physique, you'll see we still use A4 size, what do you call it, fool's cap folders. They're laid out, they're labelled for Peak Physique prospecting. They're labelled for each month of the year. And what happens is when we meet a new prospect, if we don't sign somebody up straight away, they go into that prospecting folder. What also happens is with this new client sheet that you're looking at, as soon as I get a phone inquiry, an email inquiry, or whatever, I'll print off one of these sheets and I will write that person's name in there and start the process rolling, put them into our prospecting folder. So if you actually came across and peruse some of the people that I've met, what you'll see is there'll be lots of pen everywhere, there'll be things circled, I'll use highlighters, there'll be all sorts of stuff, but really the end result is me getting a clear and definite picture on that person. In addition to that, when these people, if they haven't signed up with us in the first instance and they're sitting in our prospecting folder, you'll see a lot of notes up in the top right hand corner. So I'll be writing things like I left a message on a certain date, I rang them on a certain date, and that becomes part of our follow-up system that we use. So the tip that I would give to you, and the tip that I'd want to say, is that use this tool. It's an incredibly valuable tool. I can't describe how great it is at helping me set up the sale and set up the whole process of speaking to a new client. Doesn't really do it justice, me sitting here and just explaining it bit by bit. Although incredibly valuable information, you've really got to see this in action, you've really got to see this live, and you've really got to experience it for yourself. The only way you're going to get fantastic at it is by doing it many, many times over, and that will be certainly the recommendation that I would put forward to you, is that use it. Now, this template sits on our business building website at Create PT Wealth. So if you're on one of our programs that gives you access to the business building website, I would say that this is just probably, as you've seen, one of the many tools that sit there that really enable you and help give you the success in your business that you want. It's just the funny bit about it is just such a simple sheet of paper, but I just couldn't put a price on the amount of money that just using this process has made me incredibly powerful. So if I haven't said it enough times already, what you've got to do is print it off, you've got to use it, and you've got to use it to your best ability, because it's an incredibly valuable sales tool. So that's about it from me, and that's about it from me explaining the new client sheet. What I'd like to say to you is, if you're out there and you're not already on one of our programs that gives you access to all our intellectual property on our business building website, I'd suggest you get in contact with us. The best way to do that is to call us at the head office directly, and or to simply jump on our website. And it's www.create CREATE Wealth WEALTH.com.au. So once again, look forward to chatting to you in the future. I trust that you'll take this away and use it as an absolutely fantastic resource. My name's Brad Shepherd, and I look